Durban musicians arrested during a protest last week are appearing in the Pinetown Magistrate's Court this morning. The group objected to the lockdown regulations by blocking the N3 highway. They were arrested and later released on bail. This morning, another group of musicians held a protest outside court. For more on this, let's take you live now to eNCA's Dasen Thathiah, who is covering court proceedings out in Pinetown. And so, Dasen, these musicians were protesting about the impact that the lockdown and the restrictions on, some of their activities has had in as far as their livelihood is concerned. And I imagine that the issue has not gone away as these musicians are now appearing in court.
Exactly. It seems like the protest has only been heightened. But let me start with the most recent information first. This court case has just wrapped up for today. Those 32 artists appearing in the dock very briefly. This matter has now been referred to the senior public prosecutor for a decision, and they will have to return to court on the 23rd of October. Just to remind you, they are facing charges relating to illegal gathering as well as the contravention of the Road Traffic Management Act. That is in relation to that protest on the freeway. This mobile stage, in fact, one similar to the one behind me, was set up across that stage during the day, disrupting traffic. So they're now staging this, what they're calling more a gathering of support from across the country outside the court. They're not calling it a protest, but as you can see, there are placards here. This is their message. They want the president to reopen the events and entertainment industry. But as I mentioned just now, this has escalated from what is just a Durban protest to a more national protest on this issue. And to talk about that a little more, I'm going to bring in Romeo Ramoada. You are representing artists on a more national level. Is this something that only came about after that protest we saw last week, or is this something that has been happening in your province as well prior to this?
I'm the president of South African Arts and Culture Youth Forum. So basically, yes, we, as the cultural and the creative industry, we saw it fit that we have to support the artists who are very brave, who stood up to support the cause of the industry to open. So this protest is not a regional protest in KZN. So the whole industry around the country is supporting the cause that these artists were fighting for. Because we can't understand why our own police and our own government can arrest people who were just fighting to ask for the industry to open. We can't understand why there are people who were marching for farm medals, they were not arrested. Why Julius Malema was not arrested when they are protesting. Protesting is a right. So we are here as the cultural and the creative industry. And in fact, we are planning to go to the union building, because this protest has just escalated to national. Because artists, they cannot continue to demand on reliefs. Artists, they want to work for themselves.
So we know the issues that are at the core of this protest. We're talking about having more people in venues. So as a result of that, you will find artists will have more work. But the concern that we are seeing is that the public, it seems to be divided. If you were to look at social media reaction to this, they're concerned that once this industry is opened, so to speak, it's going to be uncontrollable. How are you going to manage that process?
No, look, we've been engaging with the Department of Arts and Culture, and the different organizations have actually drafted the regulations and strategies to open the industry. So the reason we're asking for 70% is because we know other industries have opened, like tourism. If you go to a mall, it's always crowded. So we are saying to government, we are going to make sure that we follow the COVID-19 regulations. We'll make sure that in our events, when 70%, people, they sit with those they stay with. And also, there will be social distancing. Because the problem that we're having is that, why is this industry always being the one that is being suppressed? We are basically at level 5 as I speak to you, because we are not able to work, so we cannot continue to sit at home. So we are saying to the people who are being concerned on the social media that they must feel our pain. People are at work, they are working while us were sitting at home. But the same people, they are enjoying our music, they are enjoying events that we host. So
Romeo, I want to ask you this. I'm looking at this because although it's a lot more peaceful, it's certainly a protest. Now, the question is, did it get to this point? And when I say this point, I talk about the N3 blockade as well as this, as a result of failed negotiations with government, or was this the first step towards making government realize your plight? Had there been something that preceded this point?
Yeah, I think it has gone to this stage because government is not coming on board. Government always put the cultural and the creative industry behind. Even the president of the state, when he does his State of the Nation address, he normally doesn't speak about the cultural and the creative industry. So basically, us as the artists who are saying we are tired, we know there is nobody who's going to speak on our behalf. So it has reached this stage because of failed negotiations and failed, because basically we understand, we've been talking to the department, but all we speak about is relief. We are saying we want to go back to work. Look, when the industry is open, there are many people who work in the industry. There are people in the technical field. There are people who are working as security. So we are saying when the industry is open, we'll make sure that we put in people who are in charge of COVID-19 regulations, and we'll put security to make sure that people are following the regulations.
Thank you very much, Romeo Ada there. And Tuna, just before I go, I need to tell you a story about one of those accused. You know, there are 32 in total. One of those accused, we found out today, isn't even an artist. He's not related to this events industry at all. In fact, he was driving along the N3 that day on his way to work, and he decided that this looked like what he called a noble cause, and he had gotten out of his car to join what appeared to be a party on the N3. And he was arrested along with these other people that are from the events and entertainment industry. So he's also trying to make sure that those charges against him are dropped, just as these artists are as well, through their lawyer.
Sure. Dasen, thank you for that update there. Dasen Thathiah out there in Pinetown in KwaZulu-Natal, updating us on an issue that's key, especially now as we are marking Heritage Month in South Africa, the South African musical heritage, what keeps you and I going in as far as our musical heritage is concerned, under the spotlight, of course, given the lockdown and the caution that is being exercised around gatherings. The artists are feeling the pinch.